everybody. Good morning. Good morning. We're going to have a few more people coming in, so big group. Mike isn't working right now, so my voice will have to carry here. Welcome to Leaders Connect. It's like a 20 years, something like that. I haven't counted exactly, but we're going for a long time. Actually, we started at the Zingerman's upstairs. I don't know if you remember the old. I think they still have that. So were you there, Diane? Diane was one of our first. Diane Durant, why don't you stand up, Diane, and give them they know who you are. Diane, come on up. You can tell how this got started. This is Diane Durant. We got her back in Michigan from, where did you go?
North Carolina.
You thought that wasn't right.
Yeah, coastal North Carolina, the beach, that just wasn't for me. I like the ice bags.
Chilling comes here for the winter.
Well, nice to see everyone. I'm now back in Michigan with Michigan Capital Network. We run a network of angel investor groups in the United States. I haven't seen you in probably 15 years. Yeah. Well, great to see everybody, and I look forward to getting a chance to chat with each of you.
So tell about the beginnings.
The beginnings, oh my gosh, yeah. We used to hold events at the IT.
Yeah, IT Zone, that's where you work, yeah.
Yeah, I was at the Ann Arbor IT Zone, which was a precursor to Ann Arbor Spark. And Rob ran a Leaders Connect breakfast there. Yeah. And we had amazing speakers like we have today. We had Bob Quinn and just a great array of presentations and speakers. And it just kept growing from there.
And you were in one of the small groups too.
Yes, I was in one of the leaders.
Yeah, we still run small groups of like 10 people. And if anybody's interested, let me know. We also are doing now, Mike Cole, Mike, raise your hand there, a special What's Next program. So that's kind of like if you're trying to figure out what's next, that means everybody in the room, you know. So just let us know. We're starting a new one next month. So we've got one going now, and it's quite interesting. People figuring out what they want to do with their lives. These are talking to people like 50 and up, you know, who have done one thing and they want to do something else. Although we're trying to get one going for college students. Like, we've got a guy, Ron Hickton. Remember Ron Hickton was running back from Michigan. We're going up. We're having a little technical difficulties. That's all right. David and I are
live. The lights are working.
At
least the lights are on. Yeah.
So that group is coming up next month. We're going to do something on real estate, and we have a couple different people. I just talked to Bill Milliken, but Dave, where's David? David, go stand up and come up and you can explain how we got going, and this is one of the things we're going to focus on.
So Rob's going to hold me to 2 minutes, so I'm going to say one thing. I own a co-working business. We got power, we got internet, and we got free passes. Come on in today. I'm dead serious. If you don't have power, you don't have internet, you're welcome to come today.
Citibank thing or
year 5 million. I did not realize how bad it was for everybody until I started talking to everybody. Our power never went out, and I didn't at home, so I'm a little delusionary. I'm talking to everybody. I am dead serious. We're over by the mall between Ben Terreno and Algon. I have a whole thing set up about who I was gonna. If you're affected by office evolution, do me a favor, just stand up really quick instead of introducing you. All right. These are the people that are affected every day. If you can't talk to them, I'll let them do the sales pitch for you. But he's going to cut me off here in a second. So no. I do have free passes, and if you are without power, you're not going to come out. I'll be there all day. Just let me know. I'll be in the back.
Free coffee there too, and bourbon sometimes.
Do talk to the people around Carol. You didn't say stuff. We do have, the address is 455 East Eisenhower. We do have a group called 455 Club. If you get tired of spending $13 on drinks at anywhere, just come on by. And it's a nice little family.
And there is always good food or the blue day.
Yes.
Mike, why don't you stand up and talk about Bank of Ann Arbor? Because Dave's one of our sponsors, and Bank of Ann Arbor has been with us for over 10 years.
Yeah, not quite 25 years, but it's been a while. Yeah, so
You were a
good
kid.
morning, everybody. Welcome. Yeah, I head up our technology, life science, venture capital banking group at Bank of Ann Arbor. You know, I've got to ask for all you folks today. We're looking to hire people. So we've got 6 positions open.
Wow.
We've also got 8 summer intern positions open.
Wow.
I'm hiring somebody for our group. We need somebody else in our commercial banking group. We've got a position open in our IT group. We have in our operations group and our loan documentation group. So if you're interested in any of those, best place is just to hit our website, and all that information is on the website.
I got somebody for you. I'll pass the name.
Perfect. Thanks, Ross. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing Dave.
We're hiring 2 though.
Yeah. Okay. IT people. Yeah. What?
I'm hiring too, whatever. So boy, there's so many things. I want to explain my get up here, but I got kind of hit by COVID, and I got hit last night by no power. So that's the hat. I got a messy hair day. So but when I had COVID, it affected my eye. And I had an cornea operation a few years ago, and then it began to reject it, so I had to have it again. But it was at COVID time. And then I've had a leg problem, but COVID hit my nervous system, and I have to now use a walker. So hoping all this clears up, but it's kind of a rough thing. I didn't, some people had very mild, and some people it really affected. So I wanted to say, I forgot to ask, has anybody new today? If you do, please stand up for this bit. Please, hopefully you got some people, but the veterans can give you a little bit of connection. And we're going to stop and have a little bit more network. We're going to have it outside though, because they're going to set this room up for lunch. But please, the new people, be sure you get Megan, contact information. Yeah. And we'll invite you next time. We're going to do real estate. And then 2 times from now, we're going to do something on the biomedical world that's growing here. So we have a couple of people doing cancer research, incubators. So we're going to have kind of a forum about what people are doing, and they're looking for people to hire too. So it's a good environment right now. Let's see, what else to say? I don't think there's anything else. Oh, we got a couple other spots. I don't think there's Raymond here. Anybody Raymond? So we have Raymond, which is a CPA firm, and they've been our sponsors for several years for the state. And they're probably pretty busy this time of the year, so I don't think we're going to see them until April. How about anybody from Cerno? Cerno is another one of our sponsors, and they own some property out of Davis Farms, and they're trying to buy some more property. But right now, big property, big space, does not seem to be hopping very much because of people are working remotely. So all these firms seem to not want the kind of space that used to be at Davis Farms to be able to get research going on and manufacturing and everything. So right now it's kind of in transition. We're trying to figure out what all to do about that. So without further ado, I'm going to present David. And David just started a new firm, SensCy, okay, like in Prescott. And David actually and I are baseball buddies, Tiger buddies. So we met many years ago sharing Tiger tickets. And it was Bob Gunzel and Joel Kelman from Detroit. And so we had great seats. We saw the Tigers through some of their great years. The last couple of years, yeah, that's a good thing. This year we're going to be great, right? Always next year. So David, when he started, met him at the county. He was working at the county with Bob Gunzel. And then he went on to work with Governor Snyder, who you're now working with again, right? And what was your role with the governor?
I was the director of the Department of Technology Management, Budget, and CIO for the state.
That's kind of where you got into the cybersecurity, right?
Yeah, we really started cybersecurity really deep in cyber in
2011. Okay, so you're a veteran.
2011. I don't know about that. There's probably smarter people in the audience than me, so.
I doubt it. Maybe smarter, but not as personal. You get so far on sparks, you get so far on personality, or sometimes you just don't get so far. Let's see what else. Anybody want to make a special announcement about? We had a couple people that are looking for people. Or anybody else, either job searching or job offering? Stand up.
Hi everybody, I'm Savannah, and this is my first time here, so I'm super excited to be amongst many intelligent folks, so.
Good luck.
Okay.
What kind of, what are you looking for?
Oh, I'm looking for an IT position in project management, so if anyone is looking for that, then please reach out to me and connect with me.
Anybody else, this is the networking, or anybody else hiring or have an announcement to make about something coming up? Just raised $100 million. Yes.
Sure. Hi, I'm Max Behen. I organized the A2 Biosocial, another networking event that focused on the life sciences. Our next meeting is on March 7th. It's a Tuesday. We meet at the Pretzel Bell from 5 to 7 p.m. So provide for drinks and cocktails. It's called the A2 Biosocial.
What's the date?
March 7th. Tuesday, March 7th.
Yeah. Because there's people here that always go for free food.
That's right. There is free food and drink.
They call themselves
Recently,
networkers,
people show up just for that.
And let's see, Philippe, stand up a minute. Philippe has had a, what do you say what it is? A green energy, right?
Sure. Philippe Negum at Arbor Wind. If you had a wind turbine here, you'd never lose power. 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, never lose power.
And this is more small, you're not the big.
It's 100 kilowatt, running about 50 houses, but it won't make noise, so you can put it anywhere.
But it's not the big blades.
No, safe and quiet. Doesn't kill bird from bats.
So I told Philippe that I was going to put together an advisory board for you, try to help you get to the next level of raising money, I guess, where you're at, and raising sales. So if anybody would like to serve on it, kind of know this world of alternative energy, fundraising, let me know, and I'm going to put together, these advisory boards, we're going to put together like 3 or 4 people that advise companies on fund ideas, and now we're trying to do it. You know. So I was introducing you, Dave. Oh, okay, who else? Yes.
So I'm Mark. Dave, all the way back there in Office Evolutions, is sponsoring me to give 2 talks, same talk, because I'm with Truick. We have 2 million unique visitors to our website every single month, and we're going to share exactly how you create content silos and how to effectively use TikTok and short form vertical videos.
You said how many?
2 million unique visitors.
You ever had my high school girlfriends on there? Or
All of them. So, yeah, March 9th and 16th.
So what's the website about?
So with Truick, it's the really useful information company. So essentially we help people get inspired to start companies, how to form companies, and then how do you build your back office, and I'm focusing on the growth mode. Once you've formed and you've got all your banking stuff and everything in order, how do you really accelerate that?
That sounds great.
So talk to Dave to get.
You work with Mike Cole?
Mike Cole?
Right here? No,
You guys ought to talk because you're kind of in that same world. Yeah, so one more.
Hi everyone, I'm Tim Freed. I'm Stephanie's husband, Doug and Lucia's son, if you know any members of my family. Second generation Ann Arbor Hydrofusion. I am recently a professional free agent after 15 years at Google and considering a number of opportunities. My current most likely target is early stage chief revenue officer type role in a small early stage technology company. I spent 12 years in ad sales and the last 3 in Google Cloud. In my time, yeah, and the last 2 in Google Cloud Security. So I'm excited to hear about what we're discussing today.
We'd like to talk to you after this.
And Ken Fisher stared at me when the time came for people to introduce themselves. So give Ken the assist for the nudge because I was just starting my coffee.
It's
Nice to see you all.
Stephanie Tim's wife has been here, and she's much smarter.
Well, that's why I started, I'm related to her.
I would say prettier too, but that's not politically correct anymore, so. So that's it, so with this, we connect, and we also connect outside. But I was introduced to Dave, before I got distracted. Dave was with the governor, a very important role, kind of a right-hand man to the governor, I'd say.
I was on my cabinet.
Cabinet. And now Dave is working with governors on this new company. He'll talk about that. And there's a couple others who should raise their hands, work with Dave.
We should Dave right there.
We should Dave, okay, yeah, there you go. And then Dave moved to Lazy Boy.
Yep.
Lazy Boy.
Very good name for me.
Yeah. And Dave was instrumental in the middle of the COVID getting us a couch.
That's a true story.
Only thing you put on your resume.
He's the couch provider. So, and then you were like a VP there?
Yeah, I was vice president CIO.
And what was the chair on it that you sat in? Pretty
It
nice.
was a steel case chair.
That's hilarious. Is furniture now available again, or?
Yeah, during COVID, it was about 9-10 months to get your furniture. But I just met with somebody from Lazy Boy yesterday, back 4 to 6 weeks. So I still have a lot of stock in the company, so go buy a lot.
Do you have any stock in the governor, the state?
No.
No, I was just at the state. We're doing pretty well right now. So then Dave is moved into his new company. So I guess I've known you 4 businesses. Yeah, it's a long time. And he's only 29. So that's what, and Dave's got, how's your, you're part of the Michigan State problem. I heard
We are. I have 2 kids who go to Michigan State. And so they went through that whole mass shooting. Kind of hit close to home because my daughter's boyfriend was an attorney for young man.
Dave, I heard you got up in the middle of the night to go pick them up.
Yeah, it was funny. My son was a sophomore, and Michigan State gave him a little dorm 2 years. And so he actually was barricaded in there for 4 hours. And nowadays, Dave Kelly's a retired Michigan State police, 26 years. Give him a round of applause for his story. We went home from work later that day, early evening, and I texted him. I said, give me a call to see what's going on at Michigan State. He didn't respond. So I'm impatient. So I called him like 5 minutes later. I said, Dave, did you see your text? It's like, no, I'm in bed. I said, I need you to call some of our MSP friends and find out what's going on. And the weird thing was, when you're going through that, as parents, we were sitting at home and we had our big monitor in our office. We were watching the map of Michigan State and listening to the live broadcast of the police radios. That was wonderful and terrible.
Yeah.
Because you had them saying, active shooters here, our RTF Rapid Response Team 14 is going to Brody where there's shots fired where my son lives. So just going through all that was pretty crazy. But my daughter and son went out and I talked to them. I said, this is going to impact your life. And you said, you're going to get through it, but you have a big network. Talk to people about it. You need help, we're here for you.
So, I know I offered some help
Yeah.
to different people that the kids are pretty resilient.
Kids are resilient. Michigan State, and I grew up in Michigan. I went to the good school in Washington County, Eastern Michigan. There you go, right? And the Michigan State, I say, has done an outstanding job with the students and the family.
And Connie, raise your hand, Connie, or stand up or whatever. Connie is part of the rapid response. Was it Red Cross that you were part of? Or?
Disaster medical assistance.
Disaster medical, and
The federal team.
Connie and I met around 9/11. Both of us went to New York City in the disaster there to try to help survivors, it turned out, because there were no people that really, everybody was gone. It's funny, the hospitals didn't fill up at all. They thought they would, and they really didn't. So we were part of that incredible experience many years ago. So Dave, I'll turn it over to you.
We could just do this conversation.
Yeah, we could. But I'm gonna turn it to Dave and, we're gonna talk for about half hour, Dave.
Okay.
And then, I'm gonna open up with questions for Dave, Lucian, and the other Dave, and Kelly. And, hear about your new business and, how people can learn from that. And you handed out some cards,
I
right?
did, yeah, everyone has a card on there, kind of my talking points, so just want you to take it with you, and I'm gonna have a request at the end, all right? And everyone's gotta participate, that's that.
Dave, I'm gonna cross over.
Okay, so, I don't think I have a microphone, I'm gonna talk real quick. I usually give this speech to a large crowd, and I usually have a big PowerPoint behind me, and it takes about an hour. So we're gonna kind of fly through it today. And what I'm gonna do is, well, first of all, who has internet? All right.
Not today.
Text me your address. I gotta bring my 17-year-old over to your house. She's like a caged animal right now without internet in my house. Text me your address, will be over around 3 o'clock. I'm glad everyone got through that safely. So what I'll do today is, we're gonna talk about cybersecurity. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna scare you a little bit, give you some scary facts, stuff like that. And then I'm gonna talk about who are the threat actors. And then I'm gonna talk about the threats, the common threats out there. And then also how to protect your company, but also then how to protect yourself. And we're gonna make it really interactive, right? So let's have some fun with this. I'm gonna say some things today and throw some things out there. And this is a very, very educated crowd. I'll tell you, I did this, for all you U of M fans, you'll love this. I did this to a group of about 250 small banks and small credit unions down in Columbus. They weren't as smart as you. But I'm gonna say some things today, and I'm gonna look, after I say it, I'm gonna look, and I'm gonna know if you're doing that or not just by there's three things one of three things you'll do. One is you'll look at the person sitting next to you and mouth, I do that. The other thing you're gonna do is you're gonna start writing down feverishly. Or you're just gonna look pale, right? And so I'll help you through all that stuff. Does that sound like fair agenda to everybody? All right, so cyber is everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. So I'll give you kind of a typical day. Kind of a day in the life of David Behen. So next Friday, I'll be going to Louisville. So here's how my day's gonna go. I'm gonna get up, and just like everybody else, I pull out my iPad, and I'm gonna look at my Yahoo email address to see what's going on. Obviously, I'm gonna look at Facebook to see all my high school, college friends are up to and how they can make me feel bad about myself, right? So I'll do that. And then I'll get up, I'll start driving to work, I'll probably stop at Dunkin' to grab a breakfast sandwich or something like that because those are always tasty. And then I'll go to work. But on my way to work, I'll remember that I dropped my AirPods into snow. So I had to go to Best Buy to get a brand new pair. So I'll do that. I'll go to work, I'm gonna leave early that day. I'll stop at, my wife Rosalie will tell me to stop at Walmart or Target, pick up a few things for the trip to Louisville. So I'll do that. And then I'll go home, gather up our stuff, drive to the airport. I'll go through TSA, right? Because everybody has to do that, thank goodness. They're awesome, right? I guess I love them dearly. They protect us all. And then I'll get on my I'll get on my Delta flight, fly to Louisville. My daughter and my wife and I will jump in our Uber. We'll take our Uber to the Marriott, and I'll finally get to relax and have a beer, right? And so we're all going there for my daughter's volleyball trip.
Just one?
Probably just more than one. And so that'll be the day at David Behen. That's next Friday. Every company I just mentioned, every brand I just mentioned, they've all been breached. So my life, how many people have that kind of experience, right? You've been breached. Everything you do has been breached. It's just the way, it's just the way it is. So cyber's everywhere, and it's gonna stay everywhere. I saw in the little write-up that Rob put out, I put that cyber is like a chronic disease. It's there forever, only gonna get worse So there's a lot of things you can do to manage. Does that sound like somebody that you, is your daily life just like that? Absolutely it is. All right, so now what I want to do, give you a few scary stats. I wrote them down. So how many people have a small or medium-sized organization? Or work for one or have? Okay. What do you think, the last 12 months, what was the increase in attacks on small and medium-sized organizations? What percentage do you think that was? 300%. 300%. Yeah, low. Who else? That's way too high. I get out of small, medium-sized business with. Anyone else? A little bit lower. 424%. So if you think you're a small, medium-sized organization, I presented to a large group of manufacturers in mid-Michigan recently, and they all just said, why did they attack us? We're a small, medium-sized organization in mid-Michigan. Nobody even knows where mid-Michigan is. You're absolutely a target. Do not think you're not a target, you are a target. 90% of attacks or data breaches come from what? How do they get to you? Human error. Human error, phishing. Yes, human error. Phishing emails. You know the Nigerian French emails we all used to get? Well, they're a lot more sophisticated, and they're only getting more sophisticated. All right? How many ransomware attacks do you think are experienced each day?
In the whole world?
No, in the United States.
Oh, United States.
How many? 500?
No, more than that. Several thousand.
4,000. Approximately 4,000 a day.
On businesses only?
On businesses.
And that we know of.
That we know of. That we know of. That's very good. U.S. House Appropriations Committee just put aside $15.6 billion for federal government cybersecurity. At least we know the federal government's funding themselves, right? It's really good. Actually, I'm really excited about that. I've done a lot of work with the federal government. It's really exciting. And global losses, excuse me, what do you think the global losses this year will be in dollars for cybersecurity incidents? Global.
2 trillion.
2 trillion? Half a trillion? Higher. $6 trillion. So if you think cybersecurity is going away, guess what? It's not. And so you really need to start thinking about how you protect your companies, how you protect yourself. All right, so now I'm going to do just give you a little bit of education about who the threat actors are. And just so you know, my company, this card right here, our company, Ocean and Dave and I are co-founders with Rick Snyder. And there's a little contest we're going to play here, right? Our company is called SensCy. Stands for Sensible Cyber. We don't talk in acronyms. We don't talk in tech talk. So I do any kind of acronym in this presentation, you have to call me out. Okay? And then I'll owe you a drink. Okay? All right, so deal? Okay. And I gotta think about what you owe me, I don't know yet. But call me out, I owe you a drink if I use an acronym.
And also, Dave, what he says is gonna give you today's word. You just have to listen.
I do love my Wordle. All right, here's the threat actors. First one, nation states. Nation states are organizations. Anyone know who the nation states are?
China, North Korea, Russia, Eastern Bloc, all of it.
So the four that we put under nation states are Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran. Now, why do you think they're doing cybersecurity, right? They're doing cybersecurity to totally disrupt our way of life, democracy. The nation states, they are very, very good at cybersecurity, right? But they're so focused on using cybersecurity, obviously they want to make a lot of money, all that kind of stuff. But it's really just to disrupt our quality of life, disrupt democracy, disrupt the West, and governments that are pro-democracy. That's why the nation states exist, and that's why they're using cybersecurity. I will give you a little secret. Those four nation states are very, very good at it, but the U.S. is the best. Because just know that rest at night a little bit, knowing that they're the best. You have cyber criminals. That's the next kind of threat actor. Cyber criminals, think of organized crime. you don't want to believe me, ask Dave Kelly right there, former MSP, but organized crime, think about it. Think about organized crime and what they used to do. They still do it. Gambling, prostitution, kind of all the legal activities they would make money. Now they get to sit behind a keyboard and do ransomware attacks, and do data breaches, and all these other kind of things where they're making money, funding their operations. Pretty good business model. So you have nation states, cyber criminals, then you have terrorists. Think about terrorist organizations. Think about ISIS. Think about Al-Shabaab. Think about those organizations do awful things. Again, why do they do cybersecurity? Or cyber breach, cyber crimes? It's because it's how they fund their organization. They can do other things, right? But sitting behind a keyboard and making a ton of money by doing ransomware attacks and things like that helps fund their terrible operations. So those are threat actors as well. Think about hacktivists. So hacktivists are like the group Anonymous. Anyone heard of Anonymous? Okay. There's a bunch of groups like that. Hacktivists usually, they're not out to steal your money. They're not out to, kind of just bring you down, but they're out to embarrass you. They're out there because they believe you wronged the community, you wronged society, and so we're going to embarrass you. They make you face your website. They're going to do things that make you sit up and say, they want to make you think about what you did. Those are hacktivists. There's also thrill seekers. Think of thrill seekers as, there's a great story in Miami-Dade County. Anyone hear about the high school student in Miami-Dade County? All right, high school student in Miami-Dade County. What he did was, he was a smart kid. I think he was a junior. He decided, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and change my grades for me. Well, when you get in there, he gets in there, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to change grades for his friends, and then the people he doesn't like, guess what he did to them? Really smart kid, really did some sophisticated stuff. He got caught. He got a lot of trouble, and then he got a bunch of job offers. True man, true story. Okay? So you got those thrill seekers, you got the activists, you got the nation states, and you got the cyber criminals. The final one is insider threat. An insider threat is employees within your own organization. An insider threat, to me, always was one, I always used to think about, it's something we need to think about, something we need to understand. But insider threat took a whole nother level. Usually it's somebody, you've heard about insider threats at Ford or GM or something like that, and they were usually people from a nation state who were working there, and they'd steal information, steal IP, and transfer, right? That was what an insider threat used to be. Insider threat has gone raised to a whole new level recently. So it was about, probably a year ago, a little less than a year ago. There's a group called Conti, C-O-N-T-I. They're out of Eastern Europe. They're like the worst of the worst. But I say they're like the worst of the worst, but they have a really sophisticated cyber organization. They have an executive team. They have like an HR team. They have a recruiting team. They pay bonuses, right? And it's totally diffused organization, right? You know what they did? They put out on the dark web that if anyone is unhappy at work, just drop your credentials into this bin in the dark web. If we can get into your organization, we're going to give you a bonus. They crowdsource the world for insider threats. Insider threats are a real thing now. And I give a lot of credit to that group for doing that. So if somebody just goes to work one day, not at SensCy because everyone's happy there. If they go into work one day and they're unhappy, they easily could do that. So those are your threat actors, right? Those are the five threats. So you have nation states, cyber criminals, terrorists, activists, thrill seekers, and insider threat. Any questions on those?
Where would you put industrial spying?
Industrial spying? That would probably be in cyber criminals in my any kind of cyber person would fall under one of those categories. So those are threat actors. Now I want to talk, I'm going to shorten this list because of time here, but usually I go through a whole list of threats that are out there. I'm going to cut this list down pretty good.
Can I just interrupt one? I forgot to mention. We'd like David, you do a lot of social media, so feel free to take out your iPhones, take pictures, and post about what's going on. Kids on it already. Don't mind it.
I do. Common, all right, so now I want to talk about common attacks. Common attacks that we're seeing all the time. And at SensCy, we're seeing some crazy stuff right now. And I can go into a little bit of detail about that with you as well. But the first one that I want to talk about is phishing. Phishing is, everyone experienced phishing. From the Nigerian print to some very, very sophisticated phishing attacks now that we're seeing. But the phishing is, obviously you guys know what that is, email that's addressed to you, that's actually asking you to take some action pretty quickly. You're probably going to get it at a busy time of the day. And what they want you to do is they want you to click on it, they want you to give your credentials, or just click on it, and then have them drop some serious, like kind of malware or some kind of virus onto your system. So that's phishing. That's experienced by everyone in your personal life and in your work life every single day. And if you're not educating your staff on what phishing looks like and how to avoid it, you're going to get hit. It's not a discussion of about if, it's about when. So that's phishing. Spear phishing is even worse. Spear phishing is when they actually do they take their time, the bad guys take their time, do some intelligence on you, and then specifically put something together to attack you. That's fun, isn't it? Right? So spear phishing happens a lot. I've seen some really, really good spear phishing attacks in my career. You got one yesterday? Yeah. So
It's probably from one of the companies we employ that helped train, but it was a message about having a review with my supervisor. I don't have a supervisor, but I run a payroll company, so they were, it was well thought out.
yeah. And so they're targeting. Yeah, and you just got to be careful.
And I know if I clicked on it, probably would like, hey, you shouldn't have clicked on this email. Why did you do that? But
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about the training here, right? The spear phishing. So a couple years ago, I saw one that was just awesome in a bad way, right? But it was I call this spear phishing and whaling. Whaling is when they're targeting your C-level people, and they put together specific campaigns to get them. They use spear phishing to do it. This one I saw, it was Drake, a few years ago. This was a CEO of a big company, traveled a lot. So he always flew Delta, and his administrative assistant they spear phished the whale, the CEO. But what happened was they took an email from Delta, it looked like an email from Delta, saying to the administrative assistant, to his assistant, saying he got bumped out of his seat. Looked legit, looked like from Delta. Please reselect his seat. We're sorry he got kicked out of his seat. And she knew, she freaked out. She knew he was traveling that day. He loves his seat. He'll be in a bad mood. She clicked on it, select your seat. Boom, ransomware. Very sophisticated, very good. Now there were some things as I looked at it later on with her, I pointed out some things she should have noticed. But again, it goes back to that education space. So you got phishing, spear phishing, whaling. You got phishing, which is it's happening on your text. Who gets text now saying, hey, link here, hey, you got a new Apple phone or something, gift card, right? Don't click on that. Okay? They're trying to get you, that's called phishing. Ransomware. I talked a little bit about ransomware. Ransomware, there's a couple different kinds of ransomware now. So ransomware used to be, and it really came in around 2016. Okay, cyber used to be stealing your data, exposing your data, and then the bad guys got really smart. They started doing ransomware. Ransomware is when they come in and they lock your network, right? So we were like, dang it, that stinks. So, all right, let's all now back up our stuff. So when the ransomware guys come and tell them, we go where you know to go, but we got back up from our backups. Well, now it's kind of two-headed ransomware. What they're doing is they're locking your network, and they're stealing your data. And they're gonna say to you, there was this really sophisticated one in Southeast Michigan I dealt with, where they locked the network, and the guy was like, I'm not paying you. And I don't advocate for paying, okay? I don't. And he said, I got my backups, I'm just gonna go to my backups and restore from that. And you're like, great. And they're like, well, we stole all your data, and your clients, your employees, everybody. And if you don't pay us $1.2 million in Bitcoin, we're going to drop it on the dark web and expose it, and so you're liable. Very scary stuff. And that is happening 4,000 times a day. That's ransomware. And ransomware, usually when I'm giving this speech, I click my little clicker thing, and a picture comes up. And it's a picture of a ransom note from one of the bad guys. I can share that with you if you want. It's a bad day. That starts a bad day. Then you have I almost did it. I almost went over the dream. Almost did it. Then you have denial of service attacks. And denial of service attacks are when they just cram you. Bad guys just put together bots and they cram your website and they bring it down. The newest thing we're seeing now is DDoS ransomware.
Oh, there we go. There's your
But I know, but I said it first. You didn't say discriminate. All right. I got 1 minute. All right. So the denial of service attack ransomware is now it's really bad. So what they're doing now is they're threatening you with a distributed denial of service attack. They're threatening you with that. And then what they'll do is they'll do it for 1 minute. They'll bring you something. 1 minute. And then they'll say, if you don't pay us, you just saw what we can do, you need to pay us. And then they're saying, oh, by the way, we're going to do this 4 times a month until you pay us. That one is going to increase significantly in 2023. You're going to see a lot of attacks on them. All right. We're on. See how much time I got. Okay. So those are kind of the threats that we're seeing today. And we're seeing them at SensCy all the time. I get at least 2 calls a week of companies that are breached or have under attack. We don't do incident response, but we help. We help get response. So now I want to talk about, now that I've told you about scary stats, day in the life of David, who are the threat actors and what are the threats, I'm going to tell you how to protect yourself. Very simple, sensible cyber terms. Okay. First of all, education and awareness are absolutely key. You're not training your employees or your teammates. It's not if, it's when. People need to know people need to educate what they're looking for. It's no different than anything else in life. You need to educate them. When I talk about education and awareness training, I'm talking about, and there's good companies out there, right? There's like a Know-Before, the Security Mentor. Those are good companies. They're not as good as SensCy. Let's be sure I'm being told, right? But SensCy, short, quick, easy, sticky, funny, non-intimidating, non-tech talk videos where you have to answer questions afterwards. That's what we do. We do that 6 times a year. On the off months, we do phishing simulations. And good phishing simulations. That's got to be part of your program. You were talking about it. You might have came from your training team, right?
Oh, definitely.
All right, you know. All right, so we're seeing things in our organization, for all of our clients. We send out good phishing simulations, phishing exercises. Not great yet. Good, right? Over a 30% click rate. 30% click rate. One of them we did. Well, you're all going to be clients. Never mind. One of them that we did actually was around paid time off. So we sent it out to all our clients and said, "Hey, please answer this survey. We're having a new PTO, paid time off, policy, but we can't implement this until everyone answers it." That urgency, right? Everyone, they don't want to be this. They don't want to be the teammate who held up the new paid time off policy. So you got education, right? You got phishing. Every organization should be doing vulnerability scans and dark web searches. You're thinking, why in the world would I need to do a dark web search? Well, because you're probably on there. Vulnerability scans are kind of drive-bys where organizations, what we do is people just look for open ports, open doors into your organization. You should know about those. The dark web scans allow for organizations to see if they're on the dark web. Is there chatter around your credentials, chatter around your company, chatter around your email addresses, chatter around stuff, bad stuff on the dark web? You shouldn't go on the dark web. The bad guys are on there. You should have someone in your organization or somebody else you partner with should be searching the dark web for you. You should all, how many people, I'll ask this question. People who have companies or work for companies, how many people have cybersecurity incident response plans? Written plans. Okay. How many people are educating their staff? Okay. So, doomsday scenario here. You're not educating your staff. You get a phishing attack. Next thing you know, you get ransomware. The world is going to be all around you, spinning around. You're not going to know what to do. And you're going to say, where's my incident response plan? Oh, I don't have one. What am I going to do? Right? These are things that every organization, whether you're 5 people or 5,000 people, should have in place. Executive briefings are really critical. Briefings, when I'm talking about executive briefings, is if you're part of an organization, your leadership team should be having executive briefings to talk about cybersecurity. And it can't be a 5-minute piece of the agenda. It's one of the top threats your company is going to face for the future and forever. When I was at the CIO Lazy Boy, I did it quarterly to the board of directors. When I was working for Governor Snyder, I was doing it once a month. The executive briefing was I walked in and said, here's what's happening. Here's what's happening not only to our organization, here's the global threats, and here's what our third-party risk is. Critical things that your executives need to know. Why do the executives need to know? The executives need to know because they need to understand what's happening in their organization. But the other piece is, I talk a lot about education awareness, those executives are the ones who drive the message. And I'm not a big drill down, top down. I actually hate it. But when it comes to cybersecurity and education awareness and driving a message around what you need to do, that's got to come from the executives. If you have executive sponsorship, you're going to have a successful cybersecurity culture, cybersecurity organization. And so those are just facts. Everyone, multi-factor authentication. I didn't say the, all right. 2-factor or multi-factor authentication, everybody doing that? How many people are doing that? Okay. Your organization should be doing it too. SensCy does this SensCy score, which we'll talk about in a second. One of the questions is, do all your employees and contractors use multi-factor authentication? You'd be amazed how many people say, oh, our employees are. Our contractors too? Yes. You're into your network, right? Backup. You have to back up everything. Back up all the time. I'm a nut job. I'm going to talk to you about it personally in a second, but back up all the time, every day. Back up your data. Have a password policy. I know one day we're going to get away from passwords. I know that. But we're not there yet. So have a password policy for your organization that talks about complex passwords and how often you change them. Okay? Really critical, especially for small and medium-sized organizations. If you can, get cyber insurance. Cyber insurance helps out a lot. There's a lot of loopholes in cyber insurance. Make sure your cyber insurance talks about ransomware. But there's a lot of loopholes in it, and again, SensCy can help in some of those areas. So now that I talked about all that, because I'm running out of time, I want to talk about.
Worry about time, Dave.
Okay.
People run out of your time, you can all walk out and leave, You've got a lot to say, and now you got to.
All right.
Tell us what to do.
So that's for your company. Now what I want to do is I want to tell you how to protect yourselves. And these are some of the things that I personally do. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what I do. But I'm going to scare you a little bit too. First of all, if you walk away from anything today, with anything, this is the one I want to show off, any fact. tidbit or whatever, just might want to walk away. So, how many people change their passwords? I don't know. How many people reuse your password? Used to, right? Okay. All right. And again, passwords are going to go away. And there's get a lot more sophistication on passwords. But password reuse is awful, right? So let's say I'm a bad guy, I'm a hacker, and get your password, which probably is something related to your dog or your street you grew up on, or your wife's name, or a variation of that, or your kids' names, birth dates. So we get that, and I get into your email, and lo and behold, in your email, I'm seeing your Chewy account, your Netflix account, oh boy, your bank account, and I take that password and I try to get into those. If you had using that password, we're into all of it.
Not yet, good.
Huh?
Not yet, good.
Potentially.
Yeah, I know. Not
Potentially.
using your phone.
Because
Not using your phone.
there's ways that we could, right? Change your passwords. Change them. And people come up to me all the time and say, how in the world? Because do you know 51% of people use 51% of people reuse the same passwords? Because people have over 70 passwords. If they have over 70 passwords on average, or 70 social
average American 70 online accounts.
Average American has 70 online accounts. So you say to yourself, how in the world am I going to remember all those passwords? Password man. All right, so here's what I wanted to specifically talk about that. But here's how I protect myself and my family. First of all, how many people here have a credit protection service? Experian, LifeLock, any of those? Okay, so we use Experian. It costs $19.99 a month. It's great. What it does is it tells me a whole bunch of stuff. I put all my credit card information in there, all my bank account information in there. I put in my passports, all that stuff, and it monitors everything for me and gives me alerts. It's really good. It's $19.99 a month. LifeLock is really good too, if I understand. So did they have breach recently? They did, yeah, they got breach.
Yeah, the free version is actually pretty darn close. The free version is pretty darn close to the 5.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
you don't have to pay $19.
Yeah, so, but if you want that extra level, $19.99, so I pay $19.99 a month, I use Experian. My password manager is Keeper, that's $59.99 a month. I'm sorry, $59.99 a year. And it's for a family of 5. My kids think I'm an absolute nut job, right? Because they all have it. And I ask them all the time, have you changed your password? Had to update it to Keeper. Don't forget your master password, right? That's one thing. But I'm happy to show, I have hundreds, literally hundreds of passwords, all unique, all within my Keeper. Happy to show it to you afterwards, but absolutely, if you want to feel good, sleep it better at night, use a password manager. Use multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication on everything you absolutely can. But make sure it's on your bank accounts. Make sure it's on your retirement accounts. Make sure it's on all those important accounts. Matter of fact, most organizations, most apps now have multi-factor authentication or two-factor. Use it. Sign on, simple. It's really easy to do. We can help you if you need it, all right? Just give us a call, we'll walk you through it. Secure your Wi-Fi at home, okay? It's really easy. You know, that Xfinity guy who's not, clearly mine's not working today, but when they come in and they help you to set it up, you wanted to change the default password and the name of the box, right? I have a good friend of mine who's his name for his Wi-Fi at home is FBI truck. Yes. Right? Kind of silly stuff like that. But name it so nobody knows what it is. And the provider should offer you to change the password. They should say, here, you need to change your password. They turn around, they walk out of the room, you change it, they come back in. Make sure you're doing that. Okay, secure your Wi-Fi. Update all the time. I'm a nut job when it comes to backups. Okay, and first of all, I update my phone. I put it on. I'm an Apple guy. I update everything on automatic updates. I text my kids, new update, they text back, we love you, Dad. You know, and I do that all the time. So update all the time, when new app comes out, update it, okay? It makes that on automatic. Backup. So I back up to a portable device. I back up to the cloud, and then I have to think, because I'm crazy, I back up to a small portable backup. I do it once every couple weeks. I joke if I actually back it up, take my hard drive, and I hide it in my house because I've lost my mind, right? and I hide it in my house, and I joke with my wife. My wife jokes with me actually. So if there's a fire, what's the order, right? I'm like, well, it's you, kids, the backup, the dogs. Right?
Dog didn't make the cut.
I got rid. I'm nuts. I'm nuts. So those are things I do from a personal perspective, right? Use biometrics and everything you can. It's simple and make it easy. So use biometrics and everything you can. I want to tell you some don'ts now too. Don't use hotel Wi-Fi. It's called guest Wi-Fi. Isn't that cool? Hey, guest Wi-Fi. Guess what? Everyone's a guest. Don't use it. If you do use a virtual private network. Here's another one that's interesting. Don't click on links that you don't know where the email's coming from. You guys are all like, I know that, right? I don't do that anymore. But I do. How many people do this still? How many people answer a call from a call, but doesn't have user ID on it? It doesn't have the name, right? How many people do that? Yeah, see? Curiosity killed the cat, but in cybersecurity, sometimes doesn't bring it back. Do not answer a call from somebody if their name's not on your caller ID. Why would you do that? If they want to leave, if they really, really, really want to talk to you, they'll leave you a message. You're just opening yourself up to what we call social engineering. Somebody getting on there and saying, hey, your cousin broke his foot in British Columbia, he has no money, can you wire me this money to get him to pay his hospital bill? You know how many people bought that? It's crazy. So don't do that. And this is a no-brainer, but it happens all the time. I talk to you about some instances. If someone asks you to change their financial information online, don't ever. You don't never need to change your financial information. Someone requests to change your financial information. Don't ever do that. Pick up the phone, call the bank. Pick up the phone, call your credit union, call your investment. I just worked with somebody recently who lost 7 figures. 7 figures. Because the way they were getting a disbursement for this 7-figure amount, someone came in and stole their identity. Went in and sent an email to the person sending the distribution. Told them that Bank of America is going through an IT upgrade, and I don't want my distribution to be delayed. So please send it to PNC Bank. Gave the bank account number, the routing number, even said to them, hey, I understand you have a process. Here's my cell phone number. Call me and I'll validate it. That person picked up the phone, called them, validated it, sent the money. 7 figures. And they called us to look at it. I looked at it and I said, send me all the emails between you and that person. Send all the emails to us. We could point exactly where the bad guys took over, because there was clear things in there that showed when the bad guys took it over. The other thing they did was, and this is simple, but everyone has, how many people have a signature block on your email, right? They changed the area code. They changed one of the numbers from a 9 to a 0. So when that person picked up the phone to validate, they called the bad guys. Phone number was off by 1 digit, but 9 was a 0 instead. So when I talked to the person who actually did the disbursement, and they were like, what do I do different? I said, here's the things you should have been looking for. Pointed them out. They said, but second week in November, and that third week in November, I do over 100 of these. never, ever talk to our investors. So when I called, I didn't know the name. I didn't know the voice name. I didn't know the voice. So I just did it. This stuff is happening every single day, and you need to protect yourselves. So right after, yeah, hold on, yes.
Does the bank carry responsibility for something like that?
It depends. It depends. This company called PNC Fraud, the lawyers under the fraud division, powerful people talking to powerful people, and I got something like that. But these are things that are happening every day that you just need to educate your team and be aware of what you need to be aware of. And it's Friday. I've actually asked Zimmerman to bring in drinks now for everybody. But think about this. We talked about kind of a day in the life. We talked about threat actors and threats, how to protect yourself, right? It's a chronic disease. It's only going to get worse. But there's things you can do to manage to protect yourself, right? So I've left you a card. Okay, you all have a card before I answer any questions. You have a card. If you flip that, it has my talking points on it. If you flip that card over, there's a QR code. And that QR code is a way for you to scan to get your cyber health evaluation or your SensCy score, your sensible cyber score, which is like a FICO score. Okay? It's a 1,000-point scale based on 103 different data points. That takes you less than, you answer up to 39 questions. And at the end, as soon as you're done, you get your SensCy score. All right? It's like your FICO score. So, how many people love a 600 FICO score? You don't love that. You want it to be at 800. That's where your SensCy score should be as well. SensCy we started in July 2022. Ann Arbor-based cybersecurity company. We focus on helping organizations create a proactive cybersecurity culture and environment for small and medium-sized organizations. There's a saying, I'm not military, but anyone who was military, thank you for your service. There's a saying in the military, you want to be left of boom. You don't want to be right of boom. We help you figure out how to not get hit. We're pretty passionate about what we do. And we'd love for all of you to get your SensCy score. They're free, no obligation, it's for peace of mind. I'm going to tell you one last story, then I'll answer questions. So one of the things I did not talk about were on-site attacks, right? On-site attacks that happen every day in your office if you're driving in your office, especially around contractors or insider threat. Someone might come up and talk to you, right? They're going to come talk to you and they're going to say, hey, how you doing? They're going to be looking like they're on their phone. Let's say a contractor's doing this in their office. And this has happened a lot. And they look like they're just texting. They're like, hey, how's it going? Right? And you sit down, you walk back, coffee, you sit down, he or she's texting, and they look, and actually what they're doing is you're sitting down and you're punching in your password into your laptop, and they're just waiting for it. And now they have your password. They have username, and they have your password, and probably inside the threat. That's one. The other funny one is USBs. How many people use USBs still? Okay, yeah, you're different. So we did this when I was at Lazy Boy. True story. They won't be mad if I tell this story. We took 12 malware sticks, I call them, and we put a couple in the parking lot. We spread them out throughout the organization. It's great. I think we had 6 turned in, actually. And I'm assuming we had 6 turned in. I'm assuming 5 were thrown away. But we did have one that somebody picked up, took it with them, flew to Chicago, because we had some software on there that we could see what was going on. Flew to Chicago, stuck it in their laptop at Chicago Airport. We were watching them do this. Went to the executive pay file, went into the executive pay file, took it out, flew back home to LA, went home that night, got back on, put it back in, and went in some other files. He got a really interesting call the next day, right? Now we didn't wire him, we didn't get really nasty with him, we just said, hey, here's the deal. You should have turned that in. It could have dropped malware on your machine. All these things that could have happened, and we educated that person. We just educated them on what they should do. So, I I just had to get that story, because that was one of my favorites, because I laugh about it all the time, I talk about it all the time. So, happy to answer any questions. SensCy is located in Office Evolution as well. We're a hybrid organization. Our co-founders are Bhushan Kulkarni, Dave Kelly, Rick Snyder, and myself. Happy to answer any questions. Not answering questions on my call.
So, true story. So, password lockers. I was skeptical of them for years because I'm like, if I'm a hacker, that's where I'm going to try to hack as a password locker, right? Got everybody's password. Finally went for it, and sure enough, my password locker company got hacked. So now I'm like, I have a folder, so I like pull all my data out of there. I'm like, screw this. I have literally now back to like paper. I got to, so what do you do? What do you have until your password locker company gets hacked?
You know, you know what? That's just bad luck, right? You know, the thing about the password lockers, password keeper, military grade encryption. I mean, safe as safe as you can get. I think, was it LastPass? Yeah, LastPass? Yeah.
So and then we'll go find out about that.
It was LastPass, right?
Yeah, it was LastPass, yeah.
Dave Kelly, our CTO.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that when you read about those things, you have to look at them closely, because in those breaches, they did not get access to the password vault. They got access to other customer information, and I think in the LastPass one, the most recent one, they got access to some of the code, but they did not get access to the password vault. So you gotta read those disclosures very carefully.
So what I understood also was, most of that stuff's supposed to be encrypted, right? But there's also, you can have like a little notes folder, you know, like like where you keep some notes on things, and so but apparently like the notes in those folders wasn't encrypted.
Yeah, that's files.
Yeah. So all those whatever kind of stuff I had in there was apparently.
I hate bad guys.
What? Come on, I know it, right?
So even if you're using a password, or something, the two things you can do is you add a comma somewhere in the middle, because when they take it out, you're going to drop it into a CSV file, so your password will probably split. It doesn't work even if you got it. The last thing is you add some sort of character beginning and end all the time. So always have an exclamation mark at the beginning or end that doesn't go into your password keeper. That way, even if they get it, they're never getting your password. So you do these two very simple things that you can remember, and you're good to go.
What was the comma thing you just said?
Because you put a comma right in the middle, and when they
So all the time, but you don't put that.
So you put a comma, so it drops into a CSV file. Now your password is parsed. That one line is just going to error out on them because it's not going to be lined up. They're just going to delete it and move on.
Comment as part of the password.
What changed in the information and you and the administrative assistant review with respect to the Delta sequence change?
What did we see?
You said you and the admin looked at the email traffic to point out.
No, I looked at the email traffic on the distribution of the 7 figures.
Yeah, what we saw, I can tell what we saw. So what we saw, in this particular situation, they were actually in the person's account. So they had gotten it in Delta Airlines. No, I'm talking
No, I'll tell you Delta Airlines story. This one, so Delta Airlines, what we saw there is, it would, when I looked at that, there was misspelling. When you scrolled over where it came from, it wasn't coming from Delta, right? It looked like it was, but it wasn't. So you just hover over the prompt, and it was coming from somewhere else. It wasn't coming from Delta taking it, right? That was the big news, right? But in it, as you looked at and it was very legit. The color, everything was great, but there was a couple misspellings, and there was something at the bottom that was not from Delta either. It was from some other company, and so I pointed these out. And again, it wasn't malicious. This person was trying to do their job, and they knew that their CEO was not going to sit and coach. They bumped him. Where's Mexico? He was like, hey, change that seat, right? But there were certain things you could absolutely just circle and see. So I'm going to do a little plug for SensCy. When we do our phishing emails, phishing simulations, when you click on that, it says, don't panic, this is a phishing exercise. And then it circles all the things you should have looked for. So you have instant education. We don't beat them over the head and say, you're an idiot. You should have done this. We just say, hey, don't panic, not a big deal. But these are the things you should have looked for. Answer your question.
Yep.
Yes.
So I run a payroll company. We change financial information for people all the time. So it's going to tie into this here. If I get an email from someone, well, you said that they were in their system. Did they change their email in their system?
This is email.
Did they change the phone number in the company system?
No, so they were in the email, right, so they reached it, we believe, reusing passwords, right, they wrote a part of another attack, they got it, they found they just sat there.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything, they didn't change multi-factor authentication, they did just wait. And when they saw the first email come about the distribution, what they did is they took, the sender's email address, and they moved it to what's called the RSS feed, part of Microsoft Outlook, right, so that means nobody has it enabled, so you don't even know it exists. Most people don't know that it exists. So that meant that the real person was not seeing the emails from the company, right?
Yeah.
And then they started corresponding with the company. But what they did in the very first email is, like David said, they slightly changed the phone number and the signature line, which could have been noticed, and the person should have looked up the phone number either online or in the directory, the company directory, but you know, they're not hurry to like, okay, call and make sure this is correct, right? And then there were a few other subtle things, like if you read through the original correspondence from the person, the tone of the email was different, there were a few typos, and you could tell this is not the same. So you have to like, you know, give the very, that's part of the training, is give examples.
So you touched on the exact point of the training. Anytime you're asked to change any physical data with your banking information, if you work for a company, or if you're asked by the company, find outside contact information outside of that email, contact them, ask them. All of our employees, if they get a direct deposit change from a company or an employee, we're calling our internal company contact, asking them if it was true, and the employees are signing physical documents. So it's important, and that phishing stuff happens constantly. Any company you have been hit with a direct deposit change, payroll company's probably deposited in someone's wrong bank account. It's extremely important, but the phone number thing you're talking about is important. Even if they've never talked to these people, they still have an internal guide for them. They should be at least checking to make sure that phone number is.
Yeah, 100%. So the scary thing is, and we're gonna end here in 2 seconds. The scary thing is, I've gotten 3 of those incidents in the past 2 weeks. 3. The one was 7 figures. The other one was when this cat happened, the person was actually at the bank, ready to make the distribution when they got the email saying, I need to switch my bank. And she was like, no, I'm at the bank. And they're not going through an upgrade, so she knows that. And then there was another one that they wouldn't disclose how much they lost.
And
but 3 in 2 weeks.
A financial company that's going to ask you to change your data or it's never going to ask you to click on a link to change it.
Don't ever do it. No. So anyway, we gotta go. I guess Darren has to make this room a little bit more fun. So I want to say thank you. Again, look up SensCy. Do yourself a favor, get your SensCy score. They're free, it takes 20 minutes of your time. And we look forward to, if you have, my cell phone number's on there, on this card. Call me if you have any questions. I'll give you free advice on cyber. One of our missions is educate everyone on cybersecurity. If you have questions about passwords, keepers, and, you know, 2-factor authentication, call me. Happy to give you advice. That's my personal cell phone number. Thanks.
Carry on a conversation out by the bar here.
Yeah, you're done. Okay, all right.
We do need to clear out of this room, so carry the conversation on.